Hey everyone, this is Mr. Everything, and in this video I wanted to do an unboxing and overview of a portable jump starter. This brand is JF.EGWO, or one of those ones that you can't pronounce. But I've been testing several different ones of these, and I pretty much only am interested in the better ones. This one has pretty much on par, maybe a little better than some of the ones out there. So we'll see exactly what the materials are. So it's just another box. And this is a much nicer looking box. So you can see right off the bat that this one does fast charging. So unfortunately, a lot of the ones that I've used don't do fast charging. And even when they're smaller capacity, because there's still like a ton of smaller batteries in there, that's how it stores the power. It'll take just hours to charge. And when you have that fast charge, I mean, you can get, I mean, you're not supposed to run these stone dead, but even if it's really low, you can still charge it up pretty quick within less than an hour. If you just jumped one or two times and you're down 10% or 20, it'll charge back up in a few minutes. So always a positive when they're fast charge. So I mean, the packaging is pretty good, and we can look at the book here real quick. I'll familiarize myself with it more off camera. It's actually a pretty good one. As you can see, this one looks like it comes with just a little pouch, bag to put them in. If you've ever had jewelry that comes in a bag, it's kind of like a microfiber, like that style, which I kind of like. Some of the other ones, when they come with the bag, it's like those hard nylon bags that just are real crinkly, and this one at least form a little better. They're more pliable, but not that big of a thing. So you do get a quick charger, but this one's only capable of 20 watts. And again, I think this can do 65. It's pretty interesting. I mean, it's pretty much identical to an Apple Type-C charger. They're very similar. Pretty much. And they're also, I think, 20 watts. I don't think this one weighs as much as one of them, but... And then... So we get a C to C. I like when it's C on both ends. And this one's actually pretty long. I'm going to say it's at least 4 feet. A lot of these are only 2 feet or 3. So the fact that this one's longer, I like that, because you set it on your workbench or something. You don't want to have the heavy jump starter pulling on wires. And then you get one of these 12-volt adapters. These are good. You can use the jump starter as a power bank for 12 volts DC, so you can power a radar detector or a dash cam or something with that outside of your car to test it. So they pretty much all come with these. These are some springy clamps. I mean, they got a lot of tension on them. I'm not sure if these are supposed to be LEDs and they weren't cut out, or if maybe they light up behind that, so I'll check that. Because a lot of these use that same principle. Sometimes they have LEDs on there, sometimes they have a little display, sometimes they don't have one of those boxes at all and it's just all on here. But this one does have a display. So you do get a flashlight. I don't use them, but I can't complain that they put it there. So this is what the cables will hook up to. This is the light button, power button, and everything else here. And I like how it's all labeled So that's your output for the 12-volt adapter. That's your power in for fast charge. This is power out, which I guess is also power delivery. And then a type A out. Now most of them, the type C is both ways. It appears that this one only is an input and this one is only an output. Now if you want to test it, you can, but I'm not going to fool around with it. I'm just going to use that for the input and that for the output. And the only thing that I'll say so far that I really don't like is this giant 4,000 amp. I think it would look better smaller. I thought like maybe it was like a sticker that would come off, but it just looks a little too bold. It clashes a little bit with it. It would look better if it was kind of just small font, but not really a big deal at all. And once you connect these cables, so there are LEDs here. It looks like it's like a cutout and they're not there, but they're just underneath that plastic. And then that means that there's a power to the cables, and then I believe that one turns green when it's hooked up to a battery and ready to go. And then I think it'll turn red if there's a fault or hooked up wrong or overheating. And that's probably for the boost mode if your battery is completely dead, but I'll consult with the manual for that. So between understanding the best I could from the instructions and just fooling around with it a little bit, I see how this one works. It's actually a little bit different than other ones. Most you press them on once. This one's a double click and then a double click off. And then the light doesn't come on unless you turn it on first. Then you double click and it'll come on. And this one actually tells you on here. So then you get, these annoying ones that I don't like those in anything, but they're there. And then you can get that off. And the boost button, this isn't an LED, it's just a button, and it's I would prefer it to be like a different color, like red or something, and it to be like rubber, kind of like these, or tactile. It's just barely, you can barely feel it, and you really got to push your finger. And I kind of understand why they did this, because you don't want to use the boost mode when you connect this to your battery. If it's not stone dead, it should light up, detect it, and then be ready to boost it. What'll happen if the battery just sat and there's like minimal voltage in it, then you have to boost this. And I'm not sure if it does a quick charge or how it works, but it's harder on the battery pack, so you don't want to force it into boost mode unless you absolutely need to and it's not starting it just by hooking it up. So if I hold this boost button for 3 seconds, you can probably hear like a relay or something clicks, and then that light comes on, which that would normally come on if it was hooked up to the battery. But since right now I'm not, and you don't want to touch the cables together because right now it's probably like ready to output voltage even though it's not hooked up to anything, and then it'll shut back off automatically. But you really don't want to do that too much unless you actually need to use it. But beyond that, it's pretty straightforward. That's definitely a tight. These cables aren't too bad. This is like mid. Some of these are really cheap and flimsy. Some are really, really heavy duty. These are in the middle. They're not bad, and I think they'll hold up. And I like decent gauge cables. They're nice and flexible. They have some decent length to them. They're symmetrical. I've had some where the one's longer than the other, so they're not bad. And one more thing I'll show. That quick charge. You can see then you get your, so the speed is signifying that it's using a quick charge, and it'll go up to 65 watts. Now I'm not sure if this one will charge at that. Reason being is sometimes when they're higher they don't fully run that wattage because it's kind of more of a slow charge, but you can still see it's going pretty high here. So it's indicating it's charging the wattage, and then it's letting you know it's fast charge. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. One other I'll compare is the Gooloo, because this one reminds me a heck of a lot of the Gooloo. It's kind of the same design of that screen, and that was one of the things. The Gooloo is actually the first one I bought, and to me it's kind of the standard bearer. Now one thing you have to buy this case separate, so aside from that though, they're very similar. Dimensions are same. Now this is only a 3,000 amp. Now these are all speculation. They say, are they exactly what they say? I don't know. But usually the one that's rated at the higher amp, say it's less than what they advertise, it's probably still going to be better, more powerful than the one that's supposedly rated here. Now I know there's like a Schumacher and a Noco and some of the ones that are name brands, and you'll notice those are only 1200 amp, 1500, maybe 2000 amp. So maybe these ones that are not as big of a name, I don't know, because these ones always claim more, but they've always worked for me. So, and it's a price point thing too. You pay less for these, but they work. So you just kind of have to pick, and just to compare. So again, you can see they're very similar in terms of how the displays are. I kind of like the color scheme of this one more. And they're very similar. But I just don't like that 4,000. If they could have made that smaller. And the advantage, though, again, this is 3,000 amp. This is 4,000. So this one, they do make this in a 4,000, but you're going to pay more. To where this is about the same price as the 3,000. So if you're looking for these, you probably have seen this one. This might be a newer model. Obviously not as common of a name to where I think the Gooloo shows up more often. But if you're in that price point, maybe consider this one as well, just because you'll be getting one that's rated to be a little more powerful. But they work very similarly. And you know how it is with Amazon. There's so many to pick from. I'm just trying to cover as many of them as I can. And unfortunately right now, good for me, but I don't have any dead batteries to jump. I do work for a dealership, and I use them as needed. I don't always keep all of them on me, but I'll try different ones out. But I've never really had any issues, so I don't assume that anything bad will happen with them. I think they'll work as advertised. But if you really specifically want to know about this one, I leave a comment. And if I use it, if I don't think to mention that it worked or not, if you ask, I can update you whenever I do end up using it. But I'll leave it there. Plenty to pick from, but this one is the JF.EGWO 4,000 amp jump starter. So thanks for watching, and you'll see me in the next one. Have a good one.